Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of Deck Commander walkthrough. I'm still working on it. Before I begin, I just want to remind those of you on the YouTubes, I'm going to be going on vacation after this show. But this whole little segment here is going to be on hiatus until I could find a way to fit it into my time slot because I'm going through a scheduling shakeup for other stuff. But I will be returning. With more Magic Commander, starting with Ryu Storm's Edge Commander deck, and then gonna start doing some hardcore analytical stuff of all 10 of my Commander decks after I cover Ryu. So yeah, keep alert in my community posts here on the YouTubes. Let you know when I'm gonna be back on. So don't go far away, please. Don't go far away. No, it's okay. Totally understand. So today I'm gonna be covering my ninth Commander deck. Amalia Benavides Aguirre from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. I lucked into her, pulled her out of a booster pack by sheer luck. And when I read her ability, I was like, oh yeah, I think I could do something with this. A pretty awesome character. So basically, it's not much I can truly cover mechanics-wise. Because the whole entire scheme for this deck, I gotta get some parts, more parts to it. It's very, let's say, jank. I believe that's what you kids say these days. Jank. It's a janky deck. It's just slapped together, and the foundation is fine. When I did the first playthrough, I really scared my opponents in the commander pot because I gained 17 life with Amalia and ended up at 57 until one of the players finally decided to pull off a heavy swing and whack me for 32 life and cut me in half. But the potential is there, but I just need proper parts. A lot of parts that I'm missing. So before we can figure out what the tune-up is going to be, let me give you the walkthrough of what's currently in this deck that I played over the weekend. So let's head on over to the view screen. There we go. I got this. This is a very, very cool border art here of Amalia Benavides Aguirre. Sorry, I can't roll my R's. Shame on me for not knowing how to roll my R's. Her mana cost is white and black. Legendary creature vampire scout. She has the ward ability, in which you pay 3 life. What ward does is a counter. It's basically got the exact same ability as counterspell, which you counter one spell. However, much like mana leak, where you counter your opponent's spell unless your opponent pays 3 mana, with ward, it's whatever the cost might be. It could be 1 mana, it could be 2 mana. In Amalia's case, it's 3 life. So if you want your spell to overcome the counterspelling properties of ward, you gotta pay 3 life. Then next up, she has whenever you gain life, Amalia explores. That's I think that's a new mechanic in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, or maybe it was in the other Ixalan games, Ixalan and Return to Ixalan, the other 2 Ixalan sets. I'm not sure. I didn't fully explore. But what the mechanic does is that whenever you gain life, when you explore, you look at the top card of your deck. You reveal it. If it's a land card, you put it into play. If it's not a land card, then you have the choice of either putting it back on top of your deck or discarding it. Send it to your discard pile. Either way, whether you put it on top or in the discard pile, your creature will get a +1/+1 counter. So what this means is, and what she does is her third effect. It says, then destroy all creatures in its power if its power is exactly 20. So what this means is that if I explore and I put a +1/+1 counter, Not necessarily a +1/+1 counter. I just have to explore. If I explore, no matter what the result is, if I have precisely 20 power, which is that little number on the left there, that 2 on the left, where it says 2/2, the 2 on the left is power. If I increase that to 20 and I explore, and I'm still exactly 20, then every creature on the field gets killed, including my own creatures, except for Amalia. She's the only one that lives. She basically board wipes everybody. So yeah, it's a very tough one to pull off because you got to get it up to 20, and you got to have and you got to be able to explore. But basically, what her little game is because since she's the commander, you could do commander damage. You're free to do commander damage with her. The second she board wipes. And unfortunately, the only catch is that commander damage is 21 to take out your opponent. So you gotta get one more, 1 power. Make it 21. Make sure she has 21, and she can one hit kill your opponents directly through commander damage. So that's one of the win conditions. That's one of her win conditions. Well, that's her only win condition, actually. And that's the whole point of the deck in this incarnation. I have a plan, and I will cover that after the walkthrough. So, here we go. So, we're going to start off with lands. I got 12 swamps, which you tap for a swamp. And I have 12 plains, which is plain silly. Plain common. Got the good old command tower, in which you tap and add 1 mana of your commander's identity, which is black and white for Amalia. Then I have the Caves of Koilos. Tap for 1 colorless mana, or I could tap for a white or black, and I get to take 1 damage for doing that, which means nothing because it's all about gaining life with Amalia. Next up is the Scoured Barrens. It comes into play tap, and I gain 1 life when it comes into the battlefield, and I could tap for a white or a black. Argzov Guildgate. It's a gate card, a gate type card. It comes into play tapped, and I could tap for a white or a black. Tainted Field. I could tap for colorless mana, or I could tap for a white or black. Only if I have a swamp on the field, which I will have plenty of, most definitely. So it's not that big of a problem. Shine Shadow Snarl. When it enters the battlefield, I may reveal a plains or swamp card from my hand, and if I do, the Snarl enters the battlefield it enters the battlefield untapped. So if I don't reveal a swamp or a plains, it's gonna be tapped, or else it's untapped. Which doesn't matter to me because the important thing is that I got the card out there. There's no extra drawbacks like other lands do, like return a card to your hand kind of thing. And if I tap, I could tap for a white or a black. Then there's the Temple of Silence. It comes into play tap. I get to scry 1 when it enters the battlefield, and I could tap for a white or a black. Then there is the Isolated Chapel. It comes into the battlefield tapped unless I control plains or swamp, similar to the other land that I had, which is no problem because I'll have them on the field, 1 of the 2 on the field. I could tap for a white or a black. Then I have the Concealed Courtyard. It enters the courtyard tap unless I control 2 or fewer lands. So that's a tough one. Because if I have 1 land or no lands or 2 lands, it's untapped. But if I have 3 or more, it's going to be tapped when it comes into play. I could tap for a white or a black. Then I got some fetch lands here. Terramorphic Expanse. I tap and sacrifice the Expanse. I can search my library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle my library. Then I have the Evolving Wilds. Tap and sacrifice that, and I can search my land for a basic land card, and I can put that into the battlefield tap, and then shuffle afterwards. Then I have the Myriad Landscape, one of the best fetch lands out there, because when it enters the battlefield tap, I could tap for colorless, but if I spend 2 mana, tap, and sacrifice the land, I could get up. I could search my library for up to 2 land cards, basic land cards, keyword, basic land cards that share a land type, and then I put them onto the battlefield tapped. So I can get 2 plains or 2 swamps, and I can put them out there. They'll be tapped, but the point is that I can cover a lot of ground, and that's good. So now we're coming to the jankiness of janks. My creatures. I start off with Smog Elemental. It's a flying creature. It's flying. Creatures with flying. Your opponent's control get -1/-1. Then I have Zengir Vampire, an old classic. Flying whenever a creature dealt damage by Zengir Vampire. This turn is put into graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on Zengir Vampire. Flying creatures. I got a lot of flying creatures for a good reason. Dungeon Shade, flying, tap a black, and Dungeon Shade gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It's basically a Shivan Dragon ability, so I could tap 5 swamps, and it becomes a 6/6 creature with flying. Then I have Goramond. As an additional cost to cast a spell, I have to sacrifice a creature. Flying, trample. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. So all of us will sacrifice a creature, each and every one of us, in the pod when it comes out. Then I got Urgoros, the empty one, flying. Whenever the empty one deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card at random. And if that player can't, as in they have no hand, then I get to draw a card. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. Sky Shroud Vampire. It's got flying. Choose and discard a creature card. Sky Shroud Vampire gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I believe this has the colon. Yes, this has the colon, so it's a cost ability. So I can sacrifice as many creatures as I want. So let's say I sacrifice 5 creatures. Now I have a 13/13 creature flying at you. Herald of Orgwa. Herald of Anguish. It has improvise, this ability, and what improvise does is that your artifacts can help you cast this spell. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities pays for 1. So once I pay off all of my mana abilities, which is say like Sol Ring, land, once I'm all exhausted, then I could tap artifacts themselves, random artifacts, and they'll pay for the 1 mana. It's flying at the beginning of your upkeep. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent discards a card, and for 1 mana and a black, sacrifice an artifact. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. I could do that ability as many times as I want, so I can kill off a creature. Good for those that have indestructible. Just work around. Next up, I have Silent Spectre. Flying. Whenever Silent Spectre deals combat damage to a player, that player discards 2 cards from his or her hand. It's got Morph. Again, Morph is when you play this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 mana, and then you pay the Morph cards to flip it face up. Then I have Vampire Revenant. Just a straightforward 3/1 flying creature. Then I have this gold creature called Treasury Thrall, Extort. Extort is an ability where whenever I cast a spell, I could pay either a white or black, and if I do, each opponent loses 1 life and I gain that much life. So it's a nice little life siphoner card. Whenever the Thrall attacks, you may return target artifact, creature, or enchantment card from my graveyard to my hand. So it's a good retrieval card there. Then I have Hero of the Dunes. When Hero of the Dunes enters the battlefield, return target artifact or creature card with mana value 3 or less from my graveyard to the battlefield. And creatures that I control with mana value 3 or less get +1/+0. So not only does he buff, but he can also help retrieve cards for me as well. Then there's Naomi, Pillar of Order. When she enters the battlefield or attacks, if I control an enchantment and an artifact, so I have to have both an artifact and an enchantment, I could create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. So this she's a creature generator, but I gotta have both, and I gotta be attacking, or when she enters the battlefield. Viscopa Guild Mage. When he for one mana and a white and a black, I could choose one of these two effects here. Target creature gains life link until end of turn, or whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. Pretty solid piece there. And I could do it. Well, can't really. No, I could do it multiple times. So if I wanted to, I could tap 6 mana, as long as I meet the criteria, and I can give 2 creatures life link, just like that. And now we come to the white creatures. Venerable Monk, when the monk comes into play, gain 2 life. The High Sentinels of Arashin, flying. Arashin gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control, with a +1/+1 counter on it. And if I pay 3 mana and a white, I could put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So again, if I spend 8 mana, I could put 2 +1/+1 counters on different creatures. And thus helping Arashin getting the boost. So yeah, get that boost. Archon of Redemption, flying. Whenever Archon or another creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain life equal to that creature's power. So I could gain 3 life with Archon when I play it, and since I have so many flyers, I could get life from them as well. Kengi's Lieutenant, flying. Whenever Kengi's Lieutenant attacks, attacking creatures with flying get +1/+1 until end of turn. Encore, 5 mana and white. Exile this card from your graveyard. That's the cost. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. If they gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of your next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. So they it's a creature generator. It's a little bit. It feels a little complicated though. Soul Warden. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Straightforward and simple. Steel Plume Marshal, flying. Whenever the Marshal attacks, other attacking creatures you control with flying gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So there's a lot of flying assists. That's why I have so many flying creatures in here. But I also have life gaining creatures as well. Gerard Capuchin, legendary creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life for each card in target opponent's hand. 3 mana and a white. You tap a target creature, and then play this ability only if Gerard Capuchin is attacking. So, and that only works when he's attacking. So it's a good way to get around creatures if they're giving problems. But remember, players can still tap their creatures in response to the tap on the stack. Kemba Skyguard, flying. When Kemba Skyguard enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life, instant life. Bulwark Giant, when the giant enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. Tireless Missionaries, when the missionaries enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. You see what's going on here? The Staunch Defenders, when the Defenders comes into play, you gain 4 life. Lone Missionary, when the missionary enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. Shattered Angel, flying. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may gain 3 life. This card really helped. Was what helped me gain so much life. It got me up to 57 because when I paired it up with Amalia, every time my opponent played, I gained the life. And then I explored with her, and because the top card was a non-land card, I just did it 3 times on my opponents and gave Amalia 3 +1/+1 counters until it got to me. And then I had to draw, of course. Windbrisk Raptor, flying. Attacking creatures you control have life link. So if I attack with all my creatures, they all gain life link, and I gain life when they do damage. Pretty devastating blow there. Now we're coming to the spells. We got Enchantment. Phyrexian Arena. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. It means nothing because this is a life gaining deck. So losing 1 life to draw a card has no bearing whatsoever on me. Diabolic Edict. Target player sacrifices a creature. Not a very good card. Because my opponent gets to choose the creature instead of me. Not very good. Terror. Bury target creature, non-artifact, non-black creature. It's okay, but I do have opponents that play swamp and black spells. So Terror is not going to help me out in that regard. I'll need something better. Siphon Soul, sorcery. Deals 2 damage to each other player, and then I gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. So if I have 3 in a pot, I deal 2 damage to each player. I get 6 life in return. Sanguine Bond. You'll understand. Sanguine Bond enchantment. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Simple, straightforward. It's only 3 mana and 2 black to cast. Corrupt. Sorcery. Corrupt deals damage equal to the number of swamps you control to target creature or player. You gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. Excuse me. Tortured Existence. A very easy 1 mana drop. It's enchantment for 1 mana, and then I choose and discard a creature card in my hand. Return target creature card from your hand to from your graveyard to your hand. So okay, let's say I have a very important card that I want to get. It's in the graveyard. Then I can switch it out for a card for a creature I might not need. And there are plenty enough creatures where even though I can use them, I don't have to necessarily use them. And with Torture Existence, I could always get them back as well. So it's like a crazy cycling kind of thing. Malevolent Awakening enchantment for 1 mana and 2 black. Sacrifice a creature in the battlefield. I get to return target creature card from my graveyard to my hand. So again, this helps get creatures back. Any important creature I may need, or if it's a creature I don't need, I can toss it. Very easy. Raise Dead, simple enough. Return target creature card in your graveyard to your hand. It's a sorcery. Diabolic Tutor, everyone's favorite tutor. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Then shuffle your library. It's a sorcery. And now over here, now originally this group of cards that you're gonna see was in my Sithis deck. In my Sithis deck. In fact, they were in my before my very first deck, which was Isamaru, the Konda's Hound, and I had these cards in there. And when I decided to evolve it into Sithis, I had these in there, and then eventually all of them were gone for something even better for Sithis. This is Noble Purpose enchantment. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you gain that much life. Next up is Righteous Claws. Whenever a creature attacks, you gain 1 life. Then I didn't have this one in Sithis, but Deck of Sanctuary. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a black or red permanent, you gain 2 life. If you control a black permanent and a red permanent, you gain 4 life. I only need to gain 2 life for my black permanents. Contemplation. Whenever you successfully cast a spell, gain 1 life. And Knighthood. Enchantment. All creatures you control gain 1st strike, which is great for lifelinkers. And Moonlit Wake. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, you gain 1 life. So with Malevolent Awakening, that gets sacrificed from play. I could gain life and a creature in exchange for all that. Everyone's favorite board wipe, Wrath of God. All creatures in play are buried. Kirtar's Wrath. Sorcery. Destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. Threshold. The way Threshold works is that if I have 7 or more cards in my graveyard, I get this ability. So it reads: instead, destroy all creatures, then put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying into play. Creatures destroyed this way can't be regenerated. So don't even try it with regeneration. Here's another target. Divine Offering. This is an instant. Destroy target artifact, and then I gain an amount of life equal to that artifact's total casting cost. More life gaining. Here is Serene Offering. Destroy target enchantment. This is an instant. Destroy target enchantment, and then I gain life equal to that enchantment's total casting cost. Them life gains. Then I have Circle of Despair, an enchantment. Pay 1, sacrifice a creature, prevent all damage to any creature or player from any one source. one source. That's a very important thing. It doesn't stop all creatures like fog. You can only stop one creature if they attack you. So you'll have to do it multiple times if you want to get multiple creatures to stop attacking you. So very important to keep in mind. Feast of the Victorious Dead enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if one or more creatures died this turn, thank you, Malevolent Awakening, you gain that much life and distribute that many +1/+1 counters among creatures you control. Everyone's favorite staple, Arcane Signet. Tap, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity. That's white and black. Everybody's favorite ultimate mana rock, Sol Ring. Tap for two generic mana. This one was in my Sithis deck, and that got removed over as time went on. So now I found a new home, Angel's Feather. Whenever a player casts a white spell, you gain 1 life. So every time, if any of my players is playing white like I do, and they cast a white spell, I'll get 1 life in addition to myself. I can when I cast my white spells. And the same goes for Demon's Horn. Whenever a player casts a black spell, you may gain 1 life. So yeah, I can siphon off of everybody. Jayamde's Tone. I'm not getting rid of this card in any way, shape, or form. This is definitely something I need. Tap for let's see, 4 mana in a tap, and I draw 1 card. Then I have Tawashi Gaibot from Kamigawa, Neon Dynasty. When the Gaibot enters the battlefield, I put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. I control. For 4 mana in a tap, I get to draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each modified creature you control. Equipment, auras you control, and counters are modifications. So what this means is that this +1/+1 counter, right now, he'll be 4 full mana if I don't have any +1/+1 counters. But since he comes into play and puts a +1/+1 counter, the cost reduces to 3. So if I have enough +1/+1 counters, especially on Amalia, I only have to tap for free. So all I have to do is just tap the Gaibot for free, and I get to draw a card at will. Then I have equipment cards. Sword of Vengeance. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has first strike, vigilance, trample, and haste. Equipped for 3 mana. Then I have the Black Blade Reforged. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Legendary creature gets only have to pay 3 mana. All other creatures is 7 mana to equip. Then I have the Seraphic Greatsword. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. This effect here is whenever equipped creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for most life, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking that player. So it's a creature generator, and it only costs 4 mana to equip. Tarian's Soul Cleaver, very awesome card. Enchanted creature has vigilance. Whenever another artifact or creature is put into graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature, 2 mana to equip. Very awesome. Nodachi, equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has first strike. Equipped for 3 mana. Straightforward, simple. Gorgon Flail. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has Death Touch. Costs 2 mana to equip. Very, very powerful, especially if you have lifelink along the way. Swift Foot Boots. I pronounce it right. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. 1 mana to equip. And the ever classic Bone Splitter. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, 1 to equip. So that is Amalia Benavides Aguirre Commander deck. Janks. It's full of jank. So basically the whole entire idea in this current incarnation was that I would feed her equipment spells, use Explore to get her +1/+1 counters, as many +1/+1 counters as possible. So that way she can do the board wipe, and then I can swing for commander damage. I learned that it's very slow to pull off. even with the creatures that I have that has flying, that's why I have a lot of flyers. And even creatures that I have to drop, it's very slow at the moment, because you probably might have noticed I only had 2 mana rocks in there, and that's bad. It's very bad. But but it is doable. It is a doable deck, but I need the right type of cards in here, and this is where we're gonna start figuring out what is needed. All right. So the first and foremost thing I'm going to need is mana rocks. So I was able to find what remained of my mana rocks because I'm running out of card pool at this point because those 10 decks that I built really ate through a lot of my cards, especially since I don't have a lot of cards like Commander Sphere to deal with the commander identity. And I don't. I have Command Tower, but I don't have Path of Ancestry. Cards like that, staples like that, at least to forge the foundation of the deck. So for now, the mana rocks I got is Mana Prison, which I can tap to add one colorless mana to the pool, or if I pay one and a tap, I could add one color of any choice to the mana pool. Then I got Mind Stone. Tap to add one colorless mana to the mana pool, or I can sacrifice it for a mana and a tap and draw a card. I still have Thran Dynamo, a Thran Dynamo. I can add 3 colorless mana on the tap. I have Network Terminal. I don't know if I really want this, but I'm not gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna do another tricolor deck because I have mostly. I have 2 monocolor decks. 2 dual color decks, 1 tricolor deck, and 2 5-color rainbow decks. So I probably might go Network Terminal, especially since especially with this little ability here, if I tap for 1 mana, if I do 1 mana tap, and then I tap another untapped artifact that I control, I could draw a card and discard a card. So it's giving me card drawing capabilities. Sisei's Ring, a very classic. Add 1 colorless mana to the mana pool. Now, it might seem very expensive, being that it's 4 mana, but the thing is that Sisei's Ring comes in untapped. You don't have to worry about it coming into play tapped, and that's actually pretty big. Oh, sorry, it's not 1 mana, it's 2 mana. Sorry, 2 colorless mana. It's a very old card. It doesn't have the icons like this one here. Dreamstone Hedron. I don't know if I'm going to really play Dreamstone Hedron. It's 6 mana to cast, but it does give me 3 mana. And if I pay 3 mana, tap and sacrifice the Dreamstone, I could draw 3 cards, and that's a pretty big thing to draw. So those are my mana rock options. I'll sit that right up here, or maybe to the side. I'll put it to the side. Make it look small next to Amalia. Now, another thing I don't have is enough fetch lands. Ramps, actually, mana ramps. So this is not a good. These 2 are not very good ramps, but I have this one here, Wayfarer's Bauble. Tap 2 mana and a tap. Sacrifice the Bauble, and I can search the library for a basic land card and put that into play into the battlefield. Tap, and then shuffle. I'm not sure if I have any more to work with. Unfortunately. But I do have card draws, and that's why I have Giande's Tome and Tawashi Guidebot in there, as well as my enchantment that lets me draw a card and take 1 damage. Because if I can't search for the lands alongside Explore, then even though Explore can help out, there's still limitations to it because it's got to because I won't be able to get a land on the field. It's got to be at the top. So I picked these 2 particular cards to help me out. The Traveler's Amulet, 1 mana, and sacrificing the amulet, I can search the library for a basic land and put it into my hand. And Ecologist Terrarium, where I do the same thing. When it enters the battlefield, I search for the basic land and put it into my hand. If I pay 2 mana, tap and sacrifice the Terrarium, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, sorcery speed, which is not bad. It's a pretty good card. But it's just that the lands go into the hand. So there's not much in terms of ramping. It's not going to help on the ramp. So to help also expedite Amalia's ability, so I don't have to, wait for Hey, welcome back. Start Dire Try SDR. Welcome, welcome. Covering my Magic Commander deck here. Looking to do a tune-up. You lab the Dragon Ball Fighters. Nice, nice. Welcome to the show. Continue on with your lurking. Spy at me. We all love you. We all love you, SDR. So, in terms of helping Amalia gain life so she can do explore, I'm gonna be adding these three particular cards here. We'll start with Braidwood Cup. It's all I have to do is just tap and gain one life. So long as I gain one life, that covers Amalia's prerequisite, and I can start exploring. I'm also going to add Fountain of Youth. It's free. Sure, it costs 2 mana and a tap to gain 1 life, but it is free. It's quick to drop, and I don't have to worry about wasting mana for a card like for this type of card. It still costs 2. Well, this one costs 3, but even though it costs mana to gain the life, the point is that I'll have at least a fast access to Amalia. So like let's say if I get the luck of the draw. I get the luck of the draw. Found the Youth. This is my hand. I bring Amalia out from the battlefield. I drop this down for free. I have 2 mana. I have 2 more mana available. I can tap the 2 mana and the Fountain of Youth, gain the life, and Amalia can start exploring right then and there. Oh look, I happen to have explored a land. Now I have a land out in the field. And then the last one I'm going to add is this food type artifact. Very interesting. First time I've ever seen food. This is my first food card. Lembas. I think this is from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it's a Lord of the Rings bread. When Lembas enters the battlefield, I get to scry 1, then draw a card, which is pretty good. For 2 mana, a tap and sacrificing Lembas, I get to gain 3 life. Not only that, but when Lembas is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, its owner shuffles it into their library. So I can put it back in very easily. So yeah, it gives me a card draw and it gives me a life gain, and I could cycle it right back into the deck. Pretty good card. It's pretty awesome. So some expedient permanence to let me get Amalia's ability to activate, and instead of waiting for say creatures like the Venerable Monk and waiting for the proper amount of mana, I could just get this going and get the Explorer going. So I do have a handful of other cards here that I might consider to help advancing, but cards like this one here, these particular cards, these are gold cards. Let's see here. Like this here, this enchantment. This enchantment is actually pretty. It's a pretty rough one, but it's good. Doom Foretold. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-land, non-token permanent. If that player can't, they discard a card. They lose 2 life. You draw a card. You gain 2 life. You create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Then you sacrifice Doom Foretold. So it's a one-time thing. I don't know if it's really worth it for the 4 mana. But the fact that that my opponent fails to do that, like, my opponent has to keep sacrificing until they can't anymore, and then the second they can't, then they start losing their resources, and then I start gaining resources and life. So it's kind of up in the air kind of thing. It's a good way to get rid of creatures and clear out my opponent's creatures, but I don't know if it'll help out in the long run when it gets destroyed when my opponent fails to do so. Let's see. Not this one here. Definitely not Greasefang. Yeah, because I have Greasefang, but I don't see it. I don't see it really fitting anywhere. I'm not playing vehicles, all things considered. So, this one is like Siphon Soul, Grasping Thrall. It's a 3/3 flying creature. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to each creature, and I gain 2 life. So again, it's like Siphon Soul, but I get a creature in return. I dropped a card. I am so sorry. You're gonna have to see this. Here we go. This is not a very. I don't think this is a good one. Zealous Persecution. It just makes all creatures -1/-1. Great for weenies, but it might not be good in the long run, especially the late game. This one I got Spirit Sister's Call. At the beginning of your end step, choose target permanent card in your graveyard. You may sacrifice a permanent that shares the card type with the chosen card. If you do, return the chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it gains. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting anywhere else. If I'm reading this correctly, I can return a permanent from my graveyard. And if it's, let's say, an artifact, because it's any permanent, if it's an artifact, then I can destroy one of my opponent's artifacts, let's say a Sol Ring. Let's say a Sol Ring. So let's say one of my Sol Rings get knocked down. I retrieve my Sol Ring. My opponent has an artifact that's also Sol Ring, so I send that to the graveyard. But then, let's see here. If you do, then may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with the chosen. And if I do, now this is a you may. Okay, now I get it. So at the beginning of my upkeep, I could choose a target permanent in my graveyard. And then I may choose, I don't have to do it, but if I want to, I can sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with the chosen card. And then, and if I do that, then I can return that chosen card to the graveyard. Let's see, return the chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield in the games. This permanent would leave the battlefield, exile, and oh, okay, it's not coming to me. I thought it was something that takes control. That's not good. No, that's not a good card. I thought that this was something that I would take control, but I don't get control over it. I'm just giving it an effect that sends it to exile, and what's the point? Oh, what's the purpose of that? Now, for some of the cards that I have, creature removal, like Diabolic Edict, I'm going to replace them with these three. I'm going to remove Raised Dead and increase the number of cards that I would retrieve from the graveyard. I'm thinking maybe going with either 3 or 4, depends. Starting with Rise Again. It's very expensive, but what it does is that I return target creature card from my graveyard directly to the battlefield. So it doesn't go to my hand like a Raised Dead would do. It goes directly into the battlefield, and that's pretty big. And then there's Disturbed Burial, which has a buyback 3. You may pay an additional 3 when you play this spell. If you do, put it into your hand instead of the graveyard as part of the spell's effect. So I can return it to my hand. So I can spend 5 mana for this. And what it does is, this returns to my hand. No, that's not the one I was looking at. Zombify, sorry about that. I mean, it's still a good card. I mean, it goes back to the hand and everything for 2 mana, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the ones that go to the play, that go into play. Like Zombify. Return target creature card from your graveyard to play. Return it to the battlefield in today's errata. And then I got this sneaky little one here, Ashen Powder. Put target creature card from one of your opponent's graveyards into play under your control. That's what I thought that Spirit Sister's Call does. That goes into my control. It doesn't do that. So it comes into my control. So I could steal that heavy hitting creature you happen to have there. It's mine now. Now, I want to replace Kitar's Wrath. It's very expensive. It's 6 mana for a board wipe, and I'm going to replace it with Cleansing Nova because it's 5 mana. That's 1 less, but that's good. And I get to choose one, which is destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. That's a little better than Kitar's Wrath. Even though Kitar's Wrath, if Thurs kicks in, I get to have spirit creatures. It costs 6 mana, and I need, creatures in the graveyard. And for the most part, I'm going to be doing a lot of card retrieval. So with Cleansing Nova, also it allows me to also destroy artifacts and enchantments, and that's a big deal for a board wipe. It might get out of control here. Definitely want to put in a Johnny's Pride Mate just so I can have a heavy. Whenever I gain life, I put a +1/+1 counter on it. So that's perfect. From one source, of course, but that'll be perfect for helping with the assistance there since I gain life. I might add in this creature here. which has lifelink. Basri's Acolyte. When Basri's Acolyte enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to two other target creatures you control, which is great if I have Malevolent, because I have the Malevolent, the enchantment that lets me bring creatures back into the battlefield. I could do that over and over again, and keep putting, it's a nasty little loop there. Here's what I mean. Let me find the enchantment. Let me get the enchantment out. Let's see, where are you at? Yeah, Malevolent Awakening. No, not Malevolent Awakening. No, it's not Tortured Existence either. Oh, wait, wasn't these two? What was it? What was it that allowed me? I must have misread. No, I didn't misread anything. Anyway, the point is that if I could get a card that lets me cycle. Oh no! Wait! It was under the gold, right? Was it a gold enchantment? It was a gold enchantment, wasn't it? Doesn't it give me the loop? I think I might have misread it. Yeah, Feast of the Victorious Dead. If one more creatures gain that much life and distribute that. No. Oh well, I thought I had something there. I don't. Sorry about that. We is sorry. And there we go. That's alright. I'll figure that out. Find a way to loop that so I could be putting +1/+1 counters. For consideration, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but Spirit Link and Life Link. Spirit Link, whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. And Life Link, enchanted creature has Life Link. They're both enchantment auras. They gain life whenever creatures deal damage. I don't know yet, but it's for consideration. Especially since it could help Twashi Guidebot because they're auras, and that would be a modification. Another one is this one. I'm debating if I should increase it because I have Serene Offering, Divine Offering, in which I gain life when I destroy an artifact and enchantment, respectively, from those two cards. Then I have here Solemn Offering, where I can destroy a target artifact or enchantment, one or the other, and gain 4 life directly. So I might increase that to 3 and have 3 of those. I may consider doing that. Why am I not putting these to the side here? Put these to the side here. Okay. Yeah, I thought about these, but I found the better cards, the ones that put me on the field. But I was gonna go with Morgue Theft and Soulless Revival, but they go straight to the hand, and I have cards that goes to the battlefield from the graveyard, and I'd rather have those. Let's see here. Another one for consideration alongside Spirit Link and Life Link enchantment auras is Squire's Devotion, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and Life Link. And when it enters the battlefield, I can create a 1/1 white vampire creature token also with lifelink. So this is actually a pretty good card, especially for 3 mana. It gives me enchants my creature with +1/+1 lifelink and creates a lifelink creature, which is good. So that's for consideration. Another one for consideration is Assassin's Ink. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control an artifact and 1 less to cast if you control an enchantment. So if I have both an enchantment and an artifact, which I have plenty of, out on the field at the same time, I only have to pay 2 black mana, as you can see here. And what it does is it let me destroy target creature or planeswalker. For consideration purposes, because that's actually a pretty good card. Anytime you can kill off a planeswalker is a big deal. Now, I have Soul Transfer here. I get to choose one, but if I control an artifact and an enchantment, I cast a spell, I can do both. And what it does is I can exile a target creature or planeswalker and return target creature or planeswalker card from the graveyard to the hand. So, again, it's another thing for consideration, but it does have a stipulation that I have to have both an artifact and an enchantment on the field in order to really optimize it. This one I definitely want to put in Disenchantment, Fevered Convulsion for 2 mana. For 2 mana and 2 black, I could put a -1 counter on target creature. So, oh yeah, those indestructible guys. Sure, I'll slap that -1/-1 counter on them and circumvent their indestructible. Especially if I have plenty enough mana to take them out. Let's see. Now, this one is interesting. Something that I might consider. Demon of Fate's Design, Flying Trample. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an enchantment spell by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. For 2 mana and a black, sacrifice another enchantment. Demon of Fate's Design gets +X +0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrifice enchantment's mana value. Now the reason why I have this one in consideration also is because I can easily drop instead of like if I like wasted all my mana, if I'm all tapped out of mana, or if I want to conserve the mana and save it for another big play, I can spend my life, considering that I'm always gaining life, and I could just drop my enchantment with no problem, and then I could just start gaining life through all the other ways to compensate for it, and I could conserve the mana that I currently have for other cards that's important, or if I'm all out of mana, I have something to back it up. Now, something that's very important that I'm gonna need to put in for the black side of this deck is life-linking creatures. I wanna really get as many life-linking creatures as possible in this deck, which is tough because the flyers really help out and everything. But life-linking for this deck is extraordinarily important. Now, I may not have to put a ton of lifelink creatures, but maybe put in enough for me to do what I want to do. So some of the life-linking creatures I have among, I only have 3 actually, and I need more of those. I got Scrounger of Souls, Child of Night, and Gargantuan Leech. And Gargantuan Leech is very, very expensive, and I only have 1 cave card, so I'm only going to reduce it down to 6, the generic mana to 6. But I think I'm going to technically more or less move this over to my ninja deck and Ninjutsu Gargantuan Leech and bypass the cave cost. That's something that I might end up doing in the long run. And then I found some more life-linking creatures, creatures that can do lifelink in white, like Seraph of Dawn, here, Healer's Flock, which is flying and lifelink, very good. I have Heron of Hope, where if I gain life, I get to gain that much life plus 1. And I could give Heron of Hope a lifelink for 1 mana and a white. Golden Tail Disciple has lifelink. It doesn't fly though. Sunmane Pegasus, a flying creature. If I tap 1 and a white, it gains Vigilance and lifelink until end of turn. And I definitely don't think this is really worth the trouble. Martyr of Dusk, when he dies, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token, but he doesn't have lifelink, and I'm looking for lifelinkers. Alabaster Mage is another one that can give target creature lifelink until end of turn, just like the others. Thank you, that guy. Thank you. You have a good night. Thank you. I will have a good vacation. Thanks for joining me, that guy from somewhere. Glad you enjoyed the show. You have yourself a good night. And I will see you January 15th for the next show. So let's move on to the next one. Aven of Enduring Hope, where when it enters the battlefield, gains 3 life. I gain 3 life, just like some of the other cards that I do. Then I have Confessor here. Whenever a player discards a card from his or her hand, You may gain 1 life. I don't think that's really worth the trouble. Just like this one isn't worth the trouble. Starlight Invoker. If I pay 8 mana, that's 7 mana and a white. I could gain 5 life. Not really worth the trouble. So these two might not are not gonna go into the deck. I got way stronger cards here. And then over here, I have Nocturnal Feeder flying. When Nocturnal Feeder dies, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Siphon Soul, but Destruction. So yeah, if I use the Malevolent Awakening to sacrifice it from the field, everybody takes damage, I gain life. Pretty nasty. I got Kami of Terrible Secrets. When it enters the battlefield, if I control an artifact and an enchantment, I get to draw a card and gain life. I don't know if it's really worth the trouble, even for 1 life. Like I said, I got better cards now. I found some better cards in my pool, in my card pool, my card boxes, if you will. So I don't really think it's worth all that trouble. And then Basilica Screecher, a very cheap card to drop, and it's got Extort, which again, if I pay a white and a black, all my opponents take 1 damage, and I get life back, and it's a flying creature. So that's something for consideration. So those are some of the cards that I can fit in that I have at the moment to increase my ramp, my mana rocks. Centralize my deck's theme of getting Amalia to explore with life-leaking creatures and some more flyers. So, one of the cards, wow, I forgot the name of the card, but one of the cards that I'm considering to get in here actually is in this particular Precon deck called Blood Rites. Blood Rites, Lost Caverns of Ixalan Precon deck. And the reason why this is very important is because it's all about vampires. It's also white and black, so every single card is either white or black or a combination of both, which is what Amalia is, a white-black creature. And it's got a whole lot of creatures that have lifelink, like Redemption Choir, which is great. Especially on the black side. Let's see here. Where's black? Which creature was it that had it? Nighthawk Scavenger, flying, Death Touch, Lifelink, which is pretty good. All the lifelink I could get. Let's see here. Sanctum Seeker helps out. Who else got lifelink? There's a couple of lifelinkers in here. Elenda the Dusk Rope has lifelink, white and black creature. Most of the multicolored ones got lifelink, but when it comes to, I don't really need the modder. Yeah, here we go. Bloodline Necromancer, lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, I can return a vampire or wizard creature from the graveyard to the battlefield, which is a pretty big deal. Good combination there. So yeah, it's got a couple of lifelink. Here's Indulgent Aristocrat. See, like I don't have these cards for black, and they got lifelink. And there's also some multicolored lifelinking creatures, as well as white lifelinking creatures. But I already got plenty enough that I've shown you that have lifelink that I can insert in there. So that's gonna help me out. So this whole entire Precon deck is definitely going to really tune up my Amalia deck in such crazy ways. Let's see. March of the Canonized enter the battlefield. I create 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. And if my devotion is to white and black is 7 or greater, I could create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. Wow, every turn. That's crazy. I'm not familiar with this style, the adventure effect, so I'm probably not even gonna bother with it. But we all know if you all know what's in this deck, and you all saw the card that I showed you, then you know exactly what I'm looking for. Exquisite Blood. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. This is the card I'm after because, wow, that was perfect. Dang, I wish I I had done it when I was on this screen. Because if I pair it up with this card, Sagwine Bond, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses life. And what happens is, it creates an infinite loop. It creates an infinite loop, and my opponent loses life at every turn, and I gain life. And I gain life in turn. So, yeah. And this is why I need lifelink, because if I have both cards out, if I have both the bond and the blood out, and I have 3 creatures that have flying and lifelink, then all I have to do is just attack each of my opponents, one each, with 1 lifelinking creature. They can block all they want, or they can let it pass all they want, but the second the lifelink kicks in, Saquon Bond and Exquisite Blood will kick in, and all 3 of my opponents will get caught in the infinite loop, and they will lose life while I gain life until they're dead. Once they hit 0, they're automatically dead. Nasty. Nasty. It's a very nasty thing. And so I can't wait to get this Precon. Once I get this Precon, it's gonna be real awesome. There's some pretty good cards here. Austere Command, choose 2. I can destroy all artifacts, all enchantments, all creatures. So I can replace Wrath of God for that. For this one, it's basically a farewell, but it's destroy instead of exile, and I can only choose 2. This one I might also add in there. Damn. I don't know what overload is, quite honestly. I'll have to do some research on that. Then up here with the artifacts, glass cast heart. We'll figure that one out. Commander Sphere. Like I said, I needed that Commander Sphere, and it's got that in this deck here. So I'm gonna have a nice mana rock, and I'm gonna get some fresh new mana rocks too. So that might help out with my Ryu Storm's Edge Commander deck. I already have Swift Foot Boots, so I might be able to use it somewhere else. Another mana rock. This is good. Talisman of Hierarchy. Another mana rock I can use. Wayfarer's Bauble, that's great because I could put that in another deck that can use it. Heirloom Blade, not sure what that's going to do. But I'm going to get a good chunk of mana rocks, much needed mana rocks for Amalia and for Ryu, and I won't go hungry again. Soren, Lord of Innistrad, don't really care for Planeswalkers that much. I don't really use them that much, quite honestly. That's because I don't have a lot of Planeswalkers to begin with. We got some instants here, Swords to Dust, Swords to Plowshares. Naturally, gotta get those probably in there somehow. Yeah, Village Rights, I probably wouldn't mess with that one. And of course, I get some lands. Now, I already got some of them in there, like Isolated Chapel and Shine Shadow Snarl. But something like Dracula. Voldaren Estate. I don't know why it's saying Castle Dracula. That's kind of weird. Windburst Kites seems interesting. Bojuka Bog. Oh, this is the thing that I hear a lot of people talk about. You gotta have a Bojuka Bog in your deck. Okay. When it enters the battlefield, exile target players. Whoa! Now I understand why. When it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard, and that gets tapped for black. Yeah, that's going in. See, all things work out. Another command tower. I don't think I have command tower in my my Ryu deck. Along with Myriad, like this is really helpful. Myriad Landscape, and here's the Path of Ancestry that I'm lacking. Another Rogue's Passage. I could probably put that to good use in another deck. Secluded Graveyard, Courtyard. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type. Vampires, but I won't have. I'll have multiple different creatures and such. And swamps. And I don't know what these 2 are. Elenda's Hierophant and Olivia's Wrath. We'll figure that one out. But nevertheless, now I remember what the card was. And I put the order in, and it's in the mail. And I'm going to show you. Belladar. Sovereign. Spelladar Sovereign, Vigilance, Lifelink, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. So, my commander group accidentally slipped out. Well, no, they didn't actually slip out. That was Exquisite Blood. They mentioned Felidar Sovereign, and I looked it up. I was like, oh, I'm putting this in this deck. So what ended up happening is because once I found out about Exquisite Blood with Sanguine Bond, that's when I realized that my Amalia deck, really has now a great focus, the potential focus. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create three different win conditions, for me to get the pod. One is, of course, what you see here, Felidar Sovereign. Since I'm gaining so much life, all I gotta do is get Felidar Sovereign, and one simple Diabolic Tutor is all it's gonna take. Quite honestly, if I can, and that's why I have Jayamde's Tome and Tawashi Guidebot to get that card drawing going, and I also have Amalia who does Explorer to help really move the deck along and get down there. So Felidar Sovereign ends up happening, and even if it ends up in the graveyard by whatever means, I have retrievals, lots of retrievals, and I could get that into my hand quickly. And as long as I can keep my life points above 40, I can win that. Or I could do the Sanguine Bond Exquisite Blood combo, have my life linkers out, and swing each of my life linker to each player and trigger that combo and make them go down to 0 life while I gain all of their life in return and win there. Or I could play Amalia and build up her and keep exploring with her, build her her power to 20 and trigger her creature wipe, and once she creature wipes, I'll have free real estate to swing commander damage and beat my opponents with commander damage. So 3 ways, Amalia deck, real awesome. I love it. I can't wait to get Felidar Sovereign in the mail. I can't wait to get the Precon deck so I can get the Exquisite Blood, and I can't wait to upgrade this deck and do Unspeakable Evil. Oh man. So that is that's Amalia Benavides Aguirre commander deck. It's going to be a fun ride once I get all the parts together, and we'll see when I come back from the hiatus. When I start doing a more deeper dive into the deck, you'll probably see a lot more changes when I get to her, and it's going to be awesome. So yeah. Comment down below. Thank you all for joining me. Comment down below. Share your thoughts on what you think of this commander deck and the 3 win conditions that I'm going to put into this. If you have any ideas of any cards that I might not have come across or aware of that might help out this deck, let me know down below. Like and subscribe, which would be pretty cool. I will see you all after the hiatus with my Ryu Storm's Edge deck. So, with that said, thank you all. I wish you all a good night, buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.